with the panelists, I want to give 3 examples of current initiatives on building such a trusted infrastructure, trusted network. One is the Trusted Network Initiative in the Netherlands. And I want to quote the subtitle, "It's the last drawbridge in case of big DDoS attacks." And you see from the example here, or from the picture, website.com is just connected to the internet and to a trusted internet. And in case of a big DDoS, it holds up the drawbridge, disconnecting from the global internet, but still the partner in the trusted network is still connected to website.com. Similarly, so how is this realized? Now, well, it's realized by having a VLAN with a number of exchanges in the Netherlands, NL, IX, and AMSIX, 2 of the sponsors also of RIPE in this RIPE meeting here. They have a trusted route server, and in this way they connect with each other in the trusted infrastructure. And you have the global routing network, the global routing internet. And of course, very important, there are policies. So there are technical measures you should take before you join. There are organizational, etc., etc. Mark will definitely go into more details of that. Similarly, in Czech Republic, there's the Phoenix project. And again, this also is a trusted environment for in case for DDoS, and it's also based on a VLAN at an IXP. They have also technical and organizational requirements, and it's good to see they also require IPv6 and DNSSEC. So that's an extra, I guess. I definitely appreciate that. And also there's of course who's in and who's out, the reputation. So that's important. It's important, it's self-governance, so it's independent from the IXP, it's it's run by the partners. And different from previous initiatives is the GovIX, the government exchange in Austria. It's not open for any partner, but it's specifically targeted to public administration and organizations that provide important services to these public offices. And interesting enough, I want to point out, is that they also run their own DNS services within this infrastructure, from the root delegation to .at and gov.at. So, and jumping slides, interesting also enough is that they run it as a kind of a default. So these government organizations, they run on this trusted infrastructure by default as a preferred path, not if they are under attack. Finally, I want to mention Manners, which is not a local initiative. The previous 3 were local initiatives. Manners is more has a global perspective on this, and it's not a technology. It's rules of engagement. It's a code of conduct. Andre will tell more about that later on. But it's important to note that it sets a low barrier for entrance. So it's are 3 of some simple rules you have to obey if you enter this, if you join the Manners effort. I think for the time, I will go to the panelists, introduce them very briefly. So we're very happy, Jaya Balu is from KPN. She's the Chief Information Security Officer. And this Andre Philip from CZNIC, well known, is participant or running as one of the members of Phoenix. Mark Gouw is responsible or partner in the Trusted Network Initiative in the Netherlands. André Roboszewski, ISOC, well known from the Manners, already presented a number of times here at the RIPE meeting also. And Wilfried Weber from Vienna University, presenting GovIX and also known for his, years and years co-chair of the database working group. Having introduced very briefly our panelists, I want to go to the first question. So, what's the focus on the problem you try to solve with your initiative? And how did you approach the problem? What kind of technical solution did you apply? And I want to ask Wilfried to kick off this question, please. Yeah.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, thank you, Benno. I got the job to start this whole thing going. So the first set of topics would be like, what are the common components in these approaches and what are the differences? And on top of the slides that you have seen already as a fast forward show, sort of what are the key elements or what are the things that we in our projects perceive as interesting and of relevance to the wider community. So I think let's start with you.
Okay, so I think our project was actually was invented or started after a very high DDoS flood in Czech Republic, when actually we found out that the infrastructure is definitely for ready, and not just the infrastructure, but more importantly the technical teams around. So we started to think, what can we do in case of a next wave? And we thought, let's create a group of people that we want to cooperate closer. Let's set up some technical equipment for them to be able to defend such attack, and develop some community that is able to cooperate much farther than before. And that's how the idea of creating, and the first time it was called Secure VLAN appeared. So we created a special VLAN where for you to be able to connect, you have to reach a certain threshold. And we set up the threshold really very high. We didn't just concentrate on security things, but we also wanted to have technical, very capable companies. So that's why we included stuff like IPv6, and in rules there is more described what that means. DNSSEC as well, and other requirements. We, for example, require dual connection to the exchange point, fully redundant. So the flow on single port has to be at least double if you connect to the exchange point and stuff like that. So the threshold is really very high. So we are aware of that. It's probably the most complicated way how to start this thing, but we believe that that means some value. So all members are really companies that are very technical capable. They run, for example, a listed CERT team. So that actually started sort of a huge list of Czech companies now listed by a trusted introducer just because of this project, and we continue on that. So again, technically capable, aware of security issues, administratively ready. And in this environment, we know that people that join this group can share some information, that they are trusted people, that they know what to do with information, they know how to deal with that. And also there's the reputation clause, so every member of the exchange point needs to wait at least for 6 months to be able to join this project, and there must be recommended by the members, and there's a voting procedure. So again, threshold quite high, and we are concentrating on the exchange point. Although, Phoenix project is not just really tied with this exchange point, it's supported by NIC CZ and currently NIC SK in Slovakia and Bratislava. But the concept can be independent. The group is self-governant, so they elect their own, sort of rules, and they can grow up independently of the exchange point. Yeah, that's mainly all. We have 9 members currently, and we hope some new to come.
Yeah, okay, let me continue with our situation. The similarities is that it's built around the exchange point technology. Although it is not, in this particular case, a local one, like in Vienna. It is a distributed exchange point infrastructure, well, again, using a VLAN technology. And with this particular target group, public administration and their support entities, of course, we didn't have the opportunity to look for sort of a very high technical expertise and local knowledge, because some of them actually do that. They do have that in-house, but some of them are using regular ISPs and outsourced services. So we were focusing on reliability, availability, and business continuity. That's also the reason why this infrastructure is used on a day-to-day production basis, because we didn't want to go to every other week like a test drive. It's still everything working. So if anything breaks, it should become obvious on the spot. This was one thing. The similarity is that there is an admittance procedure, so you can't just show up at the door and say, give me a plug. And the thing that's maybe relevant also for other environments trying to achieve a similar goal, you pretty early on recognized that shipping packets on layer 2 or layer 3 is not enough to do business continuity. So you have to provide infrastructure, which we did, in the form of the full DNS tree, as you already pointed out. And the next bigger step to come, and it's already in the pipe, is actually trying to connect certificate providers to this infrastructure, because you need to have access to certificate revocation lists and all of their services. And the open issues that we are still having and we are working on is that most of the connected organizations don't have a comprehensive sort of list of applications or dependencies and list of DNS things. So this is something which goes beyond. So I'm passing on the microphone.
Okay, so the Trusted Network Initiative, let me first tell you a little bit on where it's coming from, and then I will look at the similarities with the other projects. Well, more than a year ago, there were a lot of big attacks in the Netherlands, even at companies that had scrubbing solutions already, and many of those companies did not really trust their current scrubbing solution, because you never know, are those attacks only 40 gig, or 80 gig, or 120 gig? Or God knows what kind of volumes will those attacks raise. So many of those companies had the desire to have one more emergency solution to protect in case your normal solution would not work anymore. And that was the start of the Trusted Network Initiative. So it's not a new anti-DDoS solution, it's an additional last resort solution, just in case you never know your normal scrubbing doesn't work, or many companies are being attacked in the same flow, or whatever. The reason might be that the normal solution is not working. And then we figured out, well, if we do a solution for that, let's keep it cheap and simple. So what is more cheap and simple than to continue based on the peering solutions we have already for 30, 40, 50 years in the internet anyhow? So the solution we designed was a solution where we used a route server not to primarily send your traffic to, but to only send your traffic to in case of emergency. So more or less the other way around as with peering. So all the current 13 members of the Trusted Network Initiative will only send the traffic via the trusted routing route server in that 1 or 2 weeks per 2 or 3 years that they just need an emergency solution. So that's the concept, and it's working out already, 13 members. And then the similarities with the other projects, well, already 8 or 9 months ago, we discovered that in Czech they were doing pretty much the same thing. So we used their policy already to look at, and we spent the whole day together with the team to see how can we adapt this policy, how can we do it the same, and if it needs to be different, let's do it a little bit different. So we are pretty much in line with the Czech initiative, and then we also discovered that on a global basis, people are working on routing policies. So in our policy, we already included the demand that you are aware of the ManRS project, that you look into that project as well, and all the current Trusted Network Initiative members who are also part of ManRS are being marked on our member site, so that people see the similarities between the projects, and at the end of the day, things come together at maybe one big global project.
Okay. Yeah, can you comment on that as a global operator?
As an operator, these kinds of initiatives concern me, because there's no such thing as temporary when you look at when operators building new networks. And what this seems to me is a lot of these initiatives seems like new networks. And you know, the first, with all due respect, when it was first introduced to me, the Trusted Network Initiative, I mean, I gave you the name, but when it was first introduced, it was introduced as the National Emergency Network. And I thought, hey, that's a good idea. If it's not national, not only used in an emergency, and we're not creating a new network, then it's a good idea. But you know what we really need is we need a long-term solution that is and scalable and sustainable. And I believe in those kinds of initiatives far more than xenophobic splinternet or potentially damaging complex routing infrastructures that won't necessarily add anything to what we're really trying to accomplish, which is better hygiene from everyone participating. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Andre, Yeah.
Can I at least comment on
Yeah,
this one?
yeah.
Okay. So the input from Jaya was very helpful, and we adopted her input. So the project is not necessarily a national project; it's an international project. But you have to start somewhere. So that was the reason why we started nationally. But more and more companies from abroad are welcome as well. In fact, we are using two of the biggest internet exchanges in the world, which together have about 1,000 members. So potentially we can connect 1,000 parties already to this solution.
Yeah. So this goes to the second question. So maybe, André, can you kick off the second question?
Sure.
Just
Thank you, Benno.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
So how do we scale this up to a global?
Right. So the thing
system,
is, well, maybe a few words about manners. This is an initiative which is global in scope, indeed, and in fact, it's built on understanding of the property of the global internet, where your own security depends on others' actions or inactions. And the thing is, understanding a traditional approaches where you build a wall and you protect this wall, they do not really work, right? So manners, it consists of two parts. One part is what Benno mentioned, the kind of actions. They define the minimum package, the minimum kind of base standard of security that we would like all operators to conform. And the second one is a social aspect of the things. Well, I mentioned this kind of interdependency or even reciprocity, right? So when you deploy something, it's very important, I think, to understand that you are not alone, that there are a growing group of other operators that do the same, which is kind of increases your return on investment when you do such things. So manners, it's both the document that define the actions, and it's more detailed than it was shown on the slide, so please visit the website. And it also shows the growing list of supporters, people that adhere to those actions. And in our understanding, the more we grow, and the thing is, what I also wanted to mention, that it's also built on some of the elements that I heard in those initiatives that Joe just presented. One of them is this standard of adherence, right? Many of the initiatives require their members to deploy certain best practices and certain technologies. And another thing is that the local aspect, although the initiative is global, right? I mean, really, I think the peer pressure effect, it has this proximity aspect. So local communities, local internet exchanges are the best place where you can promote global baseline. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Jaya, can you comment on that as a global operator and how these local, well, you already mentioned that, how the local initiatives should grow to a more global initiative?
We are a signatory to manners. I genuinely believe that that is the way that we need to go. And to be fair to Mark with Trusted Network Initiative, I do think there are some good elements in there. So there are manners. And with the check exchange, the requirement to have a cert, to make sure that your organization is ready, that you have technically capable people handling something that may need to respond to an incident, all good. But Czech and Slovak, sorry, thank you very much. But I think it's still important to make sure that these approaches, that they all really need to scale up. And there's that temporariness factor is the one that worries me the most. So if I could encourage you, the one thing that you need to look at is what do you require for it to actually succeed? For example, for a Trusted Network Initiative to succeed, it requires each and every single operator in the Netherlands to be a part of this, because otherwise you can't route user traffic to that website. You need all the operators on board so that they can give the connectivity, at least 80%. So you need KPN, Tele2. None of those operators are currently here because they share similar concerns as I do about these kinds of initiatives. So, well, I'm talking about not the peering providers. And to be fact, you know, peering policy means that you're peers. And a website, with all good intent, is no peer of KPN.
Okay, Mark. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Okay. I think, Jaya, we only disagree about timeline, because I fully agree with you that the only real final solution is that you approach things on a global scale, including BCP38 and all those projects, so that at the end of the day, the whole world is safe and the risk for DDoS is almost zero. I fully agree with that. It's just that for the next couple of years, I would not dare to to bet on the fact that in the meantime, nobody gets hurt nowhere on this planet by a huge DDoS attack, which might be a very important bank, or an important tax office, or an important what other kind of critical website. I don't dare to bet on that for the next 1 or 2 years.
Okay. Wilfried, you want to comment on that?
Just a very, very brief comment to the sustainability. I'm fully on your side. I don't think it's any good to have small islands of special treatment, of special communities. On the other hand, in our particular environment, we also put the focus on the community building and also on the educational aspect. Because what we are seeing is that some of those parties are pretty far on their development path, but some others which are forced to join in, they need some pampering, they need some peer support, and whether this is going to sort of be soaked up by a more secure general global internet within 5 or 10 years, yes please.
Okay, some final comments of Andre, and then
I have a very short comment. You know, we are in very good situation, what you have said, because in Phoenix there is an incumbent operator in the country, in the Czech Republic, the Český Telekom, yeah, the former Český Telekom. The situation on Slovakian market is different, but in Czech Republic we have very strong position as we have this operator, we have the local Google Seznam CZ, which is the major content provider in the country. So from that point of view, you know, this system is very viable, at least locally. So we hope we can grow further. And we started to grow in Czech Republic. Now we expand to Slovakia, and we will hope to inspire more mainly exchange point around.
So Andre?
Just one little comment. I think, yeah, I fully agree that the temporary aspect is also worrying. There is nothing temporary in the internet. What we see in the internet grows and lives its own life. So I think we need to be very conscious and careful when we develop solutions that they're compatible with the properties of the internet, i.e. global reach and stuff like that. So I think there is no such a notion of national internet. It's kind of very, you know, close thinking in this respect. But I think the elements that we all showed here, they have long-term kind of trajectory and certainly should be enhanced.
Thank you. So I want to close it. Well, close it. I want to ask the audience if they have some questions. Come up to the mic.
Yes. Yes, wow. So we're running a little over time. It turns out that half an hour for 5 people to discuss a really complex topic is not much.
It's left here 25 minutes. Sorry.
So we will likely run over. I'll take responsibility for that. If people want to come up to the mic, state your name and affiliation, and try to keep your questions brief and to the point, if there are questions.
No questions?
Okay.
So people interested, you heard all the ingredients here for to work towards a more trusted internet. We can organize a real bar-off afterwards. Just let us know, contact us, and keep on going this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have another hot topic. The IANA stewardship transition, and what are the next steps for the RIPE community? CRISP, also, the RIPE CRISP team representatives will give you an overview of this topic.